Hello, good evening everyone. I am Dr. Sanjay Solanki from Central Maharashtra, India, and I am co-founder of Homeopathy for Humanity. And today we are here to continue with Aurum-Met proving data from Materia Medica Pura. And here I have joining with me Tikwa Sasun, and she is co-founder. Tikwa, yourself.
Yeah, that's me coming to you from northern Israel.
Okay. Shall we start screen share, or do you have anything to say before we begin with data?
We're ready to go. Okay, so what we're going to do for you people who are new, what we're going to do is provings are done by number with symptom numbers. Okay, Laxmi has a question. Go ahead and ask.
Who?
Lakshmi Chaudhary has a question. She raised her hand.
Lakshmi? Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, I saw a hand go up on your box, so I thought you had a question, and I am here to answer questions. That's my job. Okay, so proving data goes. Oh, yes, we talked about that last week, Devira.
Oops.
We did. because
Okay,
we were
sorry.
into proving oh, no, you can leave it up. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay, no, go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and tell this to us? Real
No,
quick.
that's okay. I have
No,
I have
no,
a very
no.
bad sore throat, so I'm going to let you speak.
You have sore throat?
A sore throat, yeah.
Do you think you might have the thing?
The thing?
Yeah, you know.
I took the thing. Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
I don't have that thing. No.
because I'm kind of wondering how many people my daughter-in-law, my pregnant daughter-in-law just got over that thing again. I mean, and then I know a number of people have sore throat that haven't tested for that thing.
Right, right.
But she tested because she was going to her parents who are quite old.
Mm.
Anyway, okay, so Devira posted something here in our chat bar about Moshe Rabbeinu. And
1 minute, Tikwa, 1
Yes.
minute. Devera, I need to talk to you after this session or maybe tomorrow.
Okay, sure.
Yeah?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Tikwa.
Hey, Naomi. Naomi's
Hi,
joining us.
Naomi.
Hello from California.
California.
Sunny California. Here, I'll show you outside really quickly. Wait a minute. You can almost see Mount Tamalpais. Wait a minute.
Oh, I
Wait a
haven't
minute.
even heard about Mount Tamalpais for so long.
I know. Wait, let me see. How do I do this? Wait a second. Wait a second. Here. Can you see? Wait a minute. What? That's there we are in a beautiful wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay.
North Bay,
Okay.
right?
You're in daylight.
Yeah, we're in daylight. No, this is I'm in Marin County.
Yeah, North Bay.
Oh, is that North Bay? Okay.
Yes. Yep,
Okay.
you're in Marin. And it
I'm
looks
in-
suspiciously like where I live.
Wait, where were you were in Alamo, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Alamo. And then after my parents got divorced, my dad moved to Orinda.
Uh-huh. Oh, nice. It's nice.
Alamo is actually nicer than Orinda.
Oh, really? I know Orinda. I don't know Alamo. But both were rivals with my high school in football. So that's
Well, I went to private school, so
oh, really?
yeah.
Where'd
You
you
ever-
go?
Have you ever heard
we
the
are
word?
on record.
That's okay.
What's it called?
I went to Athenian,
Where is that?
yeah, up on the hill of Mount Diablo. It's based on the ancient Greek teaching system.
I was gonna say, it sounds a little Greek.
It is very much.
Greek
It
to
was
me, okay.
Very much. It was based on the Greek model of learning
Uh-huh.
with a lot of
Wow.
first source materials.
Wow,
Uh-huh.
sounds interesting.
Yeah, it was good. Very good.
Sophie.
Okay, so here in our sidebar in our chat, Devera is reminding us about Moshe Rabbeinu with the Cheta Egel. That would be the golden calf. He goes to Har Sinai to go get the luchot, the tablets, and he's gone. Everybody wonders where he is, and they're in despair, and they're very upset. Where did Moses go? And so they make themselves a golden calf, which is idol worship. We're Jewish, so this is idol worship for us. And he got upset, smashed the luchot, and ground the idol into a fine powder. So we have the fine powder of gold, right? This is all in the Torah. And then everybody had to drink it. So this was the first use of Aurum-Met to treat despair, hopelessness, and we can also say a little bit of chutzpah to go a little bit far with making an idol. So we have a little bit of egotism and a little bit of depression. We have a little bit of everything going on in the mental state there. And this was thousands and thousands of years ago.
And I wanted to say one thing, that Hanuman was extremely well versed in the Torah and the Talmud, even though he was not Jewish. He was Mordechai. He learned a lot of that. Yeah, and he was. I think they were religious. I can't remember what they were, but he was. I believe that his sources are steeped in, from the Torah. There's two examples, if I can diverge for a second, of when the Hebrews were crossing the desert, and there was no water to drink, and they came upon a well, and the waters were bitter,
Mhm.
and Moshe Rabbeinu was commanded to throw in a branch, and that branch, and the water was bitter, and the branch actually was bitter. We have come across what that kind of tree it was. Anyways, he threw it into the water and he sweetened the water. I mean, that's another example.
Yep.
Just
brilliant.
just aside, it's ancient. It's an ancient tradition.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Like
back to
cures
you.
like. Mhm.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
We have, and oh, you know what I ran across in my academia.edu feed? I ran across that, you know how every once in a while I'll post something from Boninghausen on the aphorisms of Hippocrates. Every once in a while I'll do that.
Yes, I love those.
Well, there's one done by the Rambam.
Oh,
It's done by the Rambam. The Rambam did the exact same project.
can you share that when you're done with
I have
today's?
to find it. I have to.
Okay.
I found the footnote. Then I was going to do a search, but then life gets busy, right?
I'll remind you.
Mhm. Yeah. So I think that would be a heck of a lot of fun. But I think that it either comes in Ivrit and in Aravit, but
Uh-huh.
not. I don't know if anybody's translated it in English. Okay. So shall we start with the proving data? We start with proving number 1. Drawing pain in the forehead. What does the word drawing mean? These are things that we need to understand when we're doing when we're reading proving material. Yes, Andrew.
To draw, to withdraw,
To pull.
Pull,
to pull,
pulling.
Pulling pain. So if
like
you're
this.
pulling. And then a tickling, itching in the forehead is proving number 2. We know what tickling means, and we know what itching means, I hope. Okay, tearing pain in the left eye, as if something's being torn. Remember, torn, tearing. Whenever we have tearing, this is tearing. Tearing pain in the left eye. Symptom 5, redness and itching inflammation on the nose, which afterwards desquamates. Okay, so there's
What is
redness.
disquamates?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Peeling like after
Peeling.
redness when the peeling off.
Yep, exactly. Yep, so there's redness, itching, inflammation on the nose, which then peels. Proving symptom 5, red swelling on the left side of the nose. The cavity of the nose is ulcerated deep inside with a dry, yellowish scab with sensation of internal stoppage of the nose, though the air passes readily through it. Number 6, red swelling on and under the right nostril. In the nostril itself, there's a painless ulcer scab. It feels to him stopped up, though the air passes through it. Externally, in the upper part of the nose, a burning and somewhat itching pain. A crawling in the interior of the nose, as if something were running about in it. Everybody know what crawling means? Like if you're sitting outside and there's ants that come and sit on your foot and they're crawling around.
Crawling.
The sensation of movement, of something moving around on it. Discharge of a greenish yellow matter from the nose without a bad smell for 7 days. Okay, and then you see how it says in brackets after 10 days? That means that it's a very good symptom. Because the later the symptoms show in the proving, the better they are.
But I have a question. It says for 7 days, that's happening. And then, and so what does that mean, the parentheses after 10 days?
It
That means it's-
started after 10 days.
Oh,
It
started
begins,
after 10.
start, and I started after 10 days and it may remain for 7 days.
Right. Oh, that is a good one. I got it. Okay, thank you.
Ringing in the ears. You know what that is? That's a sound. It sounds like tinnitus, right? After the ringing in the ears, a kind of dullness of hearing, as if the ears internally were wide and hollow, owing to which nothing was heard distinctly. Now this one's in parentheses, so it's a questionable symptom. So we'll go down to number 12. Twitching toothache, sometimes on one side, sometimes in the upper incisors. And then we have twitching toothache also in the anterior upper row of teeth. Okay, what is a twitching toothache?
Please tell us.
It comes and goes. It's not steady, it's not static, but it twitches. Then it would mean that it's,
Like
you
this.
ever get like a spasm of your eyes?
I like this.
So it's coming and going to some degree. And then we have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, distension of the abdomen. Now that's very vague. We couldn't possibly make a prescription with only distension of the abdomen. That means bloating, basically. 15, his breathing is very short, as if the larynx were stopped up for some days. That means he's
Not sure.
having.
No, it's just because I'm not sure what that means, as if your larynx was stopped up for many days.
Maybe it would have to do with like, having like some mucus or a little bit of inflammation, maybe a little bit of hoarseness. What do we think?
I think it is sluggish breathing, slow, and has sensation as if this larynx is stopped up. Means he may not able to breathe and even talk.
Like he's not able to get enough air in.
That
Yeah.
would be, that's what breathing,
No,
short breathing would be. That'd be kind of shallow breathing. As if something were kind of stuck in the larynx area.
mhm.
And then we go to a couple of stitches just above the heart. Okay, so the stitches is a certain type of sensation. When you're sewing, those are stitches. So it's like a short burst.
Pricking.
Yeah, like a short burst. Just how like sewing is a short burst of taking the needle through the thread and short little bits. Okay, then we have
And-
swelling in the rib. Go ahead.
Sorry, Chick, but because it's in parentheses, that means we're not sure about that symptom.
Yeah, we're
Is that
not.
what that means?
sure.
Okay.
Mhm. And then
I'm just-
swelling.
I'm just
Yeah.
curious why he put them in.
Because
it-
I guess he felt that they were valuable enough to insert,
Uh-huh,
but not enough for it to be an absolute.
just to prescribe on it. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because, we're going to see similar kinds of things here coming up. Okay, then there's swelling in the wrist without pain per se. That means there's no real pain. Only a tension on bending back the hand. On grasping, however, he has stitches in it. And then we have tearing pain in the middle finger after dinner. So he's actually giving somebody the bird, and what can we say, right? Okay, now we come to a new set made from gold leaf. More acute thinking faculty and more accurate memory. And then that leads us to a footnote that that's the curative action. So this prover felt better after taking their proving. Intellectual labors affected him much. He felt exhausted. What are intellectual labors?
Studying,
Yeah.
for example, reading, thinking. Mhm.
Yep. So that's exhausting. On stooping, vertigo, as if all went turned around in a circle. On assuming an erect position, it went off each time. Okay, this is after 40 hours. When he'd bend over, things would go dizzy. And then when he'd sit back up, it stopped.
Aggravation, bending forward or stooping.
Yeah.
The first symptom, curative action. It's verified.
On walking in the open air, there occurred a vertigo, as if he would always fall to the left and was intoxicated, which obliged him to go to bed. And for some time, while lying in bed, it returned on the slightest movement. Okay, so he's walking in the open air and he gets dizzy. And the dizziness he experiences feels like he's falling to the left. And this is an important point because whenever we have anybody who comes to us saying that they're having any kind of dizziness symptoms, we always need to know the modality of the dizziness. We need to know, do you spin to the right? Do you spin to the left? And which positions make it better and worse? These are very, very important. Okay, so this man doing this proving, walking in the open air, vertigo, as if falling to the left, and it felt like he'd been drinking too much wine, which obliged him made to go to bed. He needed to lay down. And for some time, while laying in bed, it returned with the slightest movement. That's also important, that slight movement, and even when laying down. In the morning, on rising, confusion of the head, great weight in the occiput. So he's feeling fuzzy in the head when he gets up in the morning with pain in the back of the head. When standing, he is suddenly seized with vertigo, which compels him to sit down. Headache as from commencing catarrh. What does that mean?
Commencing from means on coming,
Mhm.
on starting of catarrh.
Yeah, so he felt like he was getting a cold. Put in common language,
Mhm.
headache increasing from the morning onwards, as if the brain were bruised, which by merely thinking and reading, but especially by continued talking and writing, is increased to the extremest violence, so that the ideas become confused, and it is only by the greatest effort that anything connected can be spoken or written. But when he ceases to speak, reflect and write, the headache always departs. At 7 p.m., it spontaneously ceases entirely. Ooh, that's a big one for us. Go ahead and explain that one to us,
Ah.
Sanjay.
Okay. Head, it is a headache increasing from morning onwards. The time modality, if you see the symptom from beginning to end, the headache starts in the morning, it goes on as if brain were bluish. Bluish means what is bluish? Tikwa.
Well, a bruise is, when you hit yourself against something and it's sore.
Hmm.
The technical name for bruise is contusion. But it feels
Yeah.
like there's a soreness of the brain.
Brain as a bluish, which by merely thinking means slightest thinking or reading, but especially by continuous reading, continuous talking and writing, thinking and reading, and talking and writing. Two terms. When he thinks, there is slight. When he reads, it is slight. But when he talks, instead of thinking, it's continuous. And when writing, it increases to extreme violence, so that the idea become confused. With headache, there is confusion also.
And he has a very bad headache. Extremist violence means that it's a severe headache, not just a mild headache or discomfort.
Headache,
It's very bad.
headache from thinking, reading, talking, and writing.
Mhm.
Bad headache with confusion. It is only by greatest effort that anything connected can be spoken or written. By when he chooses to speak, reflect, and write, the headache always depart. Means when he stop to uh, talk or speak,
Or think.
and this headache will go off, right?
Yeah, when he isn't thinking, speaking, or writing, the headache gets better. And then it stops entirely at 7 p.m., regardless of what he's
Means
doing.
very important symptom. It begins in the morning onwards, and it will be there up till 7 p.m.
Which gives us a
and
time modality.
and then spontaneously changes entirely. Spontaneously changes means hello.
Stops on its own.
suddenly.
Not actually suddenly, you can say, but itself you don't have it. It will go off by itself by doing nothing, no medicine or doing nothing. During daytime, he may try to get rid of headache, but it will not. But it will come with thinking, writing, or talking, or reading. But after 7 p.m., it will stop by itself. Hello?
Yep.
Means amelioration in the headache after 7 means amelioration.
Yep.
Yeah, you can
Amelioration
say
after
that.
7. That's true.
This is big symptom, and it gives you a lot of idea. Headache from reading, writing, and he tells merely thinking means slightly thinking also give headache. Slightly reading also give headache. And headache is continuous, especially continuous talking and writing.
Mhm. Which is important. Lots of times when somebody presents with something like this, they have from their basic Materia Medica, they'll be thinking along the lines of what remedy? They might be thinking about nooks, but this is not necessarily. We can't have that fixed idea. We have to take a case without having a fixed idea, because some of these symptoms overlap, and depending on the other symptoms of the case and the concomitants.
Now here we have another headache, which is felt partly like bruised pain, partly in one portion of brain, sometimes like painful pressure, sometimes like tearing, increase from morning onwards and go off about 3 p.m.
Here again, we have bruised pain, and it feels like it's in the brain. Sometimes
Yeah.
it feels like it's pressure, and sometimes it feels like it's tearing. And it starts in the morning again, but this time ending at 3.
What is this bracket symptom? Tikwa?
Me? We just went through bracket symptom. It means that it's included, but it's not necessarily 100% for sure, but it's included anyway.
One-sided headache like digging, boring, picking in the morning, immediately after waking, increase by coughing and bending the head backward. increased by coughing. We already see that he has a symptom like catarrhal symptoms, maybe we can say.
This one has, instead of bruised pain, has digging, boring, and pecking. Pecking is what birds do when they pick up their food. And you know what digging is? You take a tool and you dig a hole. Same thing with boring. You take a tool and you dig a hole. So it's that kind of sensation. When we're talking about sensations here, we're not talking about sensation as in sensation method. We're talking about the actual sensation that the prover has.
What is sensation? Lot of time Hahnemann use word sensation.
Mhm.
Even in the Materia Medica and even in organon also.
And we even have the famous sensations as if from,
Farrington,
no, Roberts. Sensations
Roberts.
as if. And he took sensations as if from Herring's Guiding Symptoms. So two very important works have come from Herring's Guiding Symptoms. There'll be Lippy's Index and the Sensations as If by Roberts.
Mhm.
And there are proving data that we use only in the guiding symptoms because they're not available elsewhere with some of the newer remedies.
Pricking sensation in sensiput means
Yeah, from start at the vertex to forehead between. I think.
okay. Headache anteriorly in the forehead and temples, deeply in the brain. The very severe tearing which is allied in the open air.
Allied means better. So this is a very bad headache again. A severe
Yeah,
hearing pain, better.
for new
open air.
for new students, they need to take down notes of these new words and try to understand.
Also
In
for
routine
old
Materia
students.
Medica,
New students, old students, doesn't matter.
yeah. Aching, stupefying headache, as if excited by strong wind. As if excited by strong wind means what? As if, why there is as if?
There
That
is
is a-
any sensation? Is a feeling as a
Tiko, what do you say?
I would say that that is a very interesting phrase. Maybe it's common for people in Germany in the 1800s to get a headache by strong wind. Because he's saying as though it's a given, as if excited by strong wind. But how often do you go out in strong wind and get a
No,
headache?
no. What I meant to say is that definitely aching, stupefying headache is there. Huh?
Yes.
And as if means generally they say that in strong wind, suppose someone may have commonly have headache. It is similar, but does it mean that in Aurum-Met these strong winds also excite this headache, or it is just aching, stupefying headache, like we see in excited by strong winds? or
You want
is it?
you want,
Mhm.
you want to say कि when the exposure in the strong wind it causes the headache.
No, I am saying that see, as the headache excited by strong wind. He says he has headache as if excited by strong wind, means it might not be always excited in Aurum-Met.
I think he's implying that people get a headache in strong wind, which is not necessarily true for everybody. But what does the
Ah,
word stupefying mean? Stupefying is an important word. We find these over and over and over and over again in the Pura
Unable
Veda.
to think.
Yes, difficult to think. Absolutely right.
and we have received. Aisha, can you turn off your microphone? Stupefying means unable to think, right?
Yep,
And
difficulty
we
thinking.
we
Yeah,
just saw that there is headache from thinking also in Aurum.
right. And because the word, you see the word stupefied. Stupefied means to make senseless. And it also is related to the word stupid. If somebody is stupid, the old fashioned way of saying that means that the person is not all there, is not really with it. And that would be the modern terminology in English. So stupefying means that it's giving some kind of dullness, confusion, inability to think and function properly.
Pressure in the left side of forehead, poor symptom. After 1.25 hours,
1.25, doesn't it say 1.25?
1.25. Aching, tearing from right side of occiput to right side of forehead. Right side of occiput to right side of forehead. After 3 hours. Tearing pressure in left side of crown, worse by movement. What is crown? Students? Aisha?
Upper part of the head where we are crown.
What the princess wear on her head?
What is crown? Any other word
Ladies and
for
gentlemen,
crown? Vertex? This crown area. Worse on movement. Tearing in the left temple. Fine tearing in the right side of crown. And earlier we saw tearing pressure in the left side of crown, worse by movement. And then fine tearing in the right side, means both right, left. After 3 hours. Tearing pain in the left side of crown, right side of the crown. Tearing pain in left side of forehead, worse by movement. Headache worse by movement. Left and right side of crown and left and right side of forehead, means whole everything is painful, which is worse by movement in general. Then if you bifurcate symptoms, we have after 3 hours and after 1 hour, sorry, half hour. fine tearing in forehead. Tearing, cutting, pain in right side of the crown. And earlier we have bold fine tearing in the right side of the crown.
And then when we're
Fine
looking at a
tearing.
repertory, we're gonna have, in a repertory, you have head internal and head external. So some of these belong to the rubric head internal as opposed to head external. And then you add the designation of which side, left side and right side. When you're going through studying your case.
Excuse me,
Fine
sir.
tearing.
Excuse me, sir. Means there is a bold letter or they highlighted letter. Means that it is a more common in the all the group of
It's
Ruber.
characteritis.
Okay.
Characteristic.
Characteritis for drug.
But anything actually can be characteristic in the drug. It might be more common, but anything that's in here can be. And it depends, on other things that you're gonna find. You can't base anything on one symptom. You have to find your patient in the proving.
Again, fine tearing from right side of occiput through brain to forehead, worse on movement after 1 hour. Sorry. I think we have tearing pressure in the right side of occiput. One minute, huh? Okay. A roaring and rushing of in the head, as if he were seated beside rushing water.
Imagine yourself sitting next to a river with the water rushing past. It feels like that inside the head.
Rush of blood in the head. This is again internal symptom.
Where the feels like the blood is going to the head.
Rush of blood to brain.
Yep, number 30. 31, violent rush of blood to the head on stooping, which stops when rising up. Okay, so when the person's bending over or squatting, there will be a rush of blood to the head, bending forward, and then it gets better when standing up again. It takes a while to get used to proving data, guys. It's totally normal. It takes time. And then as you read through proving data, and you do it a couple of times, then you really get a feeling for what the remedy is.
Shooting on frontal bone like slow drawing after 6 hours. Sharp teachers in the center of forehead, where the hairs begin. How can you describe for me?
You'll have to remember where your hair used to be.
Used to, yeah. What sound is there? Something is in the chart. Okay. Needle pricks on forehead externally. You can see stitches in forehead externally after 24 hours.
Yep, feels like needles. Poke, 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 poke.
Small osseous tumor on the right side of vertex, which boring pain per se, but worse when touched. Am I audible?
Yep,
Small osseous tumor on left side of the forehead superiorly.
what's an
What
osseous
is
tumor?
what is
Means the bony
osseous?
prominence.
Yeah, yeah,
Ossified,
or
ossification.
ossuary, or ossus. Yeah, it means bone. Yep. And ossuary is where they put the bones of people after they had them in caves.
Pressure on and in left side of the forehead externally and internally after 10 hours. Painful pressure in the temples. Pressure on left temples after 32 hours. Aching externally on left temple. What is these numbers denote? Students, question for you. Number 40.
The,
What
Proving
is that?
maybe the symptoms. Maybe the symptoms.
symptoms or provings number.
Yeah. And these numbers are standardized when you are referring symptom number 40 yeah, from Aurum-Met. It comes the same symptom, whichever book you are having.
Okay, sir.
So you need to remember this number. Just remember, when you have to give any reference, you can say that symptom number along with. And 40 and presentation in this is 5 symptoms. You will see 40, then 45. Between there are other 4 symptoms.
See, for example,
Like
like this. You see how I have here in this notebook,
uh,
and I have symptom numbers. This is how you can tell people what symptoms were in the patient in a certain proving. And when we look at, if you look at the YouTube channel, when we go through the introductory material to things like Materia Medica, no, to chronic diseases, we have the schema and we have things that will explain these things much better. So yeah, this makes it a universal language. So if you, let's say we're looking at Boninghausen and a case by Boninghausen, or if we're looking at some of Hahnemann's early cases, they're going to say which proving numbers were fulfilled by which symptoms in which remedies. And so this makes a universal language for homeopaths to be able to communicate in.
I have one question. Any repertory which we prefer to for the Materia Medica Pura, like a Kent repertory and Boni, which is the more common? Or this is a these are kind of the symptoms not available anywhere.
Yeah, this is always going to be symptom number 40. No matter what edition, symptom 40 is going to be aching externally on the left temple, worse when touched. no matter what book of Materia Medica Pura, that is symptom 40.
Can
And
you
symptom
read, Tico?
41, huh?
Can you read?
Yep, symptom 41. On lying down, the cranial bones are painful, as if broken to pieces, so that it took away all his vital energy. So when he lays down, the bones of his head feel broken, and it made him feel really weak. Then we have his head is shaken sideways and up and down. Then a feeling of weakness and aching in the eyes. Pressure from without inwards on the left eye. That means from outside in, which is an important modality. Pain can come from inside out or from outside in. 45. Pressive pain from above downwards in the right eyeball. So that's a pressure. It feels like pressing on the eyeball, right? Repressive pain. It's not stabbing, it's not itching, it's not twitching. It feels pressed. Pressive pain from without inwards. That means pressing pain, like, it hurts, like it's pressed, okay? On the right eyeball, worse when touched. So here I'm touching my right eyeball. Pretend that I have a pain in it, and it's even worse when pressed instead of better when pressed. So pressure aggravates. 45, 46, 47. Aching in the eye as if a foreign body had gotten into it. Does that mean a person from a different country?
No.
Who?
A foreign body. We got to keep it fun, right, guys? Sanjay, is there somebody with a visa or without a visa in that eye?
Foreign body means which is not part of the body.
You finally got the joke, huh? Yep. So as though there's something in it. He feels like there's something in his eye. We know what that's like, right? Everybody's had something in their eye at some point or another. Right, guys?
Yes.
Yes. You put on your mascara, and then sometimes you go to rub your eye, and then you get a little mascara in your eye, and you're like, oh no, right? Or what about when you get fuzz, like from a sweater stuck in your mascara that then gets in your eye, right? Do we know this feeling?
Yes.
Bad feelings. Okay, so those are foreign bodies in the eye. That can also be dust. It could also be a piece of ash. There's a lot of different options, but by and large, females that wear makeup get more foreign bodies into their eyes, with or without a visa. Okay, 45, 46, 47, 48. On looking, a sensation in the eyes as when one has been much heated, as if the blood pressed strongly on the optic nerves. A kind of burning in the eyes. Okay, so this person's looking at something, and it feels like their eyes have been heated, as if the blood pressed strongly on the optic nerves. Now that's a really interesting one to try to imagine. Some of these are very, very clear, a pressing pain, but this is a little less clear. When he's looking at something, there's a feeling in the eyes as if it had been heated. The eyes feels hot, as if the blood pressed strongly on the optic nerves. Yeah, but we don't really quite know what that feels like. At least I don't. Anybody else?
In the bracket, they have written kind of burning in the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Number 50, an obtuse stitch outwards on the lower part of the left orbit. Obtuse. Obtuse doesn't, there's two types of stitching when we're going through proving data. There's fine stitching and then there's obtuse. And you know, if you know geometry, when you have an obtuse angle, what kind of angle is it?
More than 90 degrees obtuse.
Right, it's a wide angle. So that would mean that an obtuse stitch means that it's a rather large, as opposed to like a pinprick, that it's a stitching pane, you know, like stitching like you're sewing, but it's of a rather big variety. So it's a rather large thing. So obtuse, he's using obtuse like geometry. Then we go to extreme pressure in the left orbit, almost like a spasm on its internal aspect posteriorly. So we've got the left orbit. The orbit is like the muscular case, right? And I can't see without my glasses though. Okay, almost like a spasm on the internal aspect in the back. So we have the case for the eyeball in the back on the interior aspect. So somewhere back in here is a almost like a spasm. Okay, somewhere back in here in the where the eyeballs held.
It's
Mhm.
inwards, means it inside,
Mhm.
back of eyeball.
But it's like the muscle or the muscle case, like a spasm back there.
Hmm.
Now we come to fine tearing, not obtuse tearing, but fine tearing in the right orbit, in the vicinity of the external canthus. Where's the external canthus?
This outside, these angles.
Mhm. Then we have sensation of pressing out of the left eyeball in its inner and upper angle. So now it's coming from behind outwards, pressing outwards, left eyeball in the inner and upper. Then we're down to 54, tension in the eyes, which interferes with vision. Okay, tension. There's a feeling of it being tight, a tightness in the eyes, what makes it hard for the accommodation to happen. 55, extreme tension in the eyes with diminution of the visual power. He cannot distinguish anything distinctly because he sees everything double and one object seems to run into another. The tensive pain is worse when he fixes the eyes on something, and less severe when he closes them. That's after 9 days. That's important. Okay, so he has tension in the eyes, which make it so that he can't see properly. Everything looks double, and one object seems to run into the other. And the pain that's like tense, there's like stiffness, like inflexibility. Worse when he fixes his eyes on something. So let's say he's got a book and he's looking carefully. The letters are all running together and he sees double, and the pain is worse when focusing and less severe when he closes the eyes. So we have there the closing eyes ameliorates this bad feeling of the double vision and inability to fix his vision properly. Several single stitches in the inner canthus of the left eye and in the eyelid itself. So snip, 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 snip. Contraction of the pupils. After 2 hours and 3 3/4 hour. Then we had dilation of the pupils after 3.5 hours. So we have the pupils are contracting, made smaller, and they're getting bigger. So there's both in this remedy. It seems as if the upper half of the right eye were covered by a black body, so that he can only see the lower half objects below him, but those above remain invisible. Okay, what's the technical term for that?
What is term?
What is it?
Half vision. Diplopia is double vision. What is
Mhm.
term for half vision? Sees only half of the object. Aisha?
Sir, no idea.
Okay, you can look into the books.
Or we can continue. There's a diagnostic terminology for that. Okay, 60. It seems as if a black veil were drawn over the eyes, whereby distinct vision is impaired. Okay, we know what that means, right? As though a black veil, you got your hijab and you're putting it over your face, over the eyes. And the vision is impaired, as though there was fabric covering the face. '61, sparks of fire appear suddenly before the eyes. And what's the footnote of that lead to from 61?
61.
Yep, 61 has a footnote. Sparks of fire
1 minute.
appear suddenly. Sparks of fire in the eye are the usual prodromata of partial paralysis of the optic nerve or obscuration of the sight by black spots always hovering before the eye. I cured one such case by means of gold. Okay, so you're saying there's a problem with the optic nerve. A smarting pain in the upper left eyelid. That means that it's like, it hurts, it smarts, it hurts. Then we have a painless, smooth pimple on the right lower tarsal edge. And then we have swelling of the lower eyelids with bluish internal canthus. It shouldn't be blue. 66, the face swollen and shining, as from perspiration, the eyes as if distended and protruding. So it looks like he's all sweaty. but with swelling.
Mhm.
And on the right side of the face, itching needle pricks. Drawing, tearing on the left side of the face. In the face, on the neck, and on the chest, an eruption of small pimples with purulent apices for some hours. It's interesting that in the proving, it only comes and goes within a few hours. So you've got little pustular eruptions, like little pimples with like little pustular tops. That's what apices mean. Purulent apices is like they're pustular eruptions, and it's only for some hours. Number 70. Excessive tearing in the frontal process of the malar bone. That means that there's too much of a tearing feeling. Where's the malar bone? Malar bone, anybody? Malar bone,
First year students,
anybody?
So in the skull, but doesn't know the exact location. Maybe.
where is malar bone? Students,
I have no idea.
Doctors, where are the malar bones?
malar bones.
It is in the face,
Mm-hmm.
beneath the eyes, beneath the eyes. It is cheekbone.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Actually, we don't know that name of that bone. We only know that it is a zygomatic bone.
Ah, you get very, very, very good. Yes, we must always utilize Google. Never forget, Google is your friend. Whenever we run across a word we don't know or a location that we forgot, all we have to do is consult Google. And Google tells us. It's so easy. Never discount the necessity of consulting with Google. It is so helpful. Let's say some years from now, you're seeing a patient and the patient gives you a list of their allopathic treatments. You're going to need to go to Google to go to the appropriate website that is going to give you the common side effects of those drugs that the person's taking. And you'll know whether or not this is something that is brought on by their treatment. So yes, never hesitate to consult the tools available. And Google is a very, very good tool. And yes, we do have to use it because we're not going to be able to store everything in our head all the time because we can't. Einstein had a very, very, very important statement. He said, don't keep in your memory what you can easily search for, you can easily look up. Okay? So yeah, you're going to have an idea where the malar bone is, and you're going to know where the meatus auditorius is just because you're going to know. But anything, you don't have to keep absolutely everything in your head. I think that for a lot of people, especially for me, keeping like themes in my head is more important than like actual, like I'm never going to remember that symptom number 76 is a tickling formication internally in the LA nasal, compelling him to scratch. Okay? I'm never going to remember that symptom number 76 because I'll be able to look it up. So if somebody has itching on the inside of their nostrils and they have to stick their finger in their nostril and scratch it, that belongs in Aurum and other places as well. Okay? So we have
1 minute.
humming in the left
1
ear.
minute. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Google
Yes,
led
sir.
you to the same thing it led me to.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So yes, never hesitate to look things up because there are a lot of good resources available on the internet, a lot of good tutorials. If you need to examine something, you can usually, like Stanford University in the West Coast in California has excellent tutorials for doing physical examinations. So all these things are tools available. Okay, so we have humming. And we have tearing pain in the zygomatic arch, which we already just saw in the picture. And we have aching tearing in the left external meatus auditorius, sorry, in the left ear. And then humming before the left ear doesn't mean deep inside. It means like more of a superficial humming. And then crepitation. What's crepitation? Sanjay?
I don't know actually how to explain that term.
Isn't it kind of like a cracking noise?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Something that you hear when you're doing a chest exam sometimes.
Rattling sound.
Mhm. Yep, in the left ear. Okay, 75 in the morning in bed, roaring in the ears. So that's like a tinnitus with roaring sound, but only in the morning and only in bed. Okay, 75, 76, 77, Sanjay?
Yeah. 75. Tickling formation. 76. Tickling formication internally in the LNSC
Yep,
as
we were
during coryza. Tickling formation internal of LNSC compelling him to scratch.
Yeah, we just talked about that itching inside the nose that makes them have to stick their finger in their nose to scratch it. And I'm never going to remember that that's 77 or 76.
677. Sensation of stoppage of nose as in stuffed coryza, and yet he could draw air through it very well after 2.5 hours. Nasal bone of the right side and neighboring part of upper jaw are painful to touch, especially where facial nerve comes out. This is important part. From where the facial nerve comes out.
No, I see.
Do you know facial nerve?
There's a lot of facial nerves that come out as branches.
Like this.
Mhm. That's the gesture I'm trying to make. Facial
From both
nerve.
sides.
So we
All
might
over
be,
here, you will see the facial nerve. Actually, there are 5 branches. Right from, it begins from here, comes out of skull. And then it goes right from this, what gland is here, between ear, below ear, parotid gland. It peers from there and then it branches out over the face. And lower jaw, upper jaw, then cheeks, forehead, all, everything is supplied by facial nerve. And his talk nasal bone of right side, and neighboring part of upper jaw. This upper jaw is painful to touch, especially where facial nerve means right over here, this part, over cheek.
right. And once again, Google is our friend.
Facial nerve is cranial nerve, number 5.
There's lots and lots and lots of different things here. This is a better picture of facial cranial nerves. Hey, guys. And the
This
funny
is
thing is,
important symptom, huh?
yes,
Very, very important symptom. It's bold symptom.
yeah, so there's neuritis here.
Okay. After walking in open air, nose swells in the room. When he's coming inside, after walking in the open air, his nose is swelling. Twitching, twitching on the septum of nose from above downwards. Where is septum? Septum, this center curtain.
Yes, it's the midline of the nose.
Midline of the nose.
He cannot get air through nose. The nostrils are ulcerated and agglutinated and painful. Tikwa?
Sanjay,
Read.
read.
Let's ask new student, one of student, if anyone wants to read. Anyone? Anyone wants to read?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, what a
Yeah.
big girl you are.
You can come on video, so it does not remain blank.
Uh, so there's no light in my house. That's why I'm keeping the video off.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, because of the weather.
Symptom 80. Symptom 81. Symptom 82.
Okay. Twitching on the septum of the nose from above downwards. 82. He cannot get air through the nose. The nostrils are ulcerated and agglutinated and painful.
Yeah, so they have
Hmm.
sores and they're stuck together and they hurt. Okay, that's bad.
Then 80,
83.
83.
The nostril appears to him to be stopped up, and yet he can get air through it.
Interesting.
A transient smell of brandy in the nose with oppression of the chest.
Mhm.
On blowing the nose, he perceives a fetid smell in the nose. Extremely sensitive smell. Everything smells too strong after 48 hours.
Fetid means
Mhm.
that things smell bad, that it smells bad. Fetid. That word. It's a bad smell.
Mhm.
Smarting pain in the lower part of the nose.
Okay. 80. 90, 89, 88, 88.
Smarting pain in the lower part of the nose so that
One
tears.
minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1. Sorry. Okay, continue.
So that tears came into the eyes as when strong sunlight excites an inclination to sneeze, or during exalted religious sadness or the highest degree of compassion.
That's a very interesting symptom. That's multifaceted. He has a pain in the lower part of the nose so that his eyes water, as when you go into strong sunlight and you feel like you're going to sneeze, or during exalted religious sadness or the highest degree of compassion. Very, very interesting. What is exalted religious sadness, anyone?
Exalted religious sadness.
What is it?
Mhm.
Well, whatever it is, it belongs in Aurum-Met. For the highest degree of compassion. If you feel bad for somebody, and it brings tears to the eyes. Same with this
Maybe a
exalted. Go ahead, Deb.
exalted means high or powerful level.
What was that?
Can you repeat?
Okay, sir. It is at a high or a powerful level. Exalted means.
Exalted means.
Yes, exalted means a high level.
What is religious sadness?
It is very confusing.
Tikwa?
I don't know.
Even I don't know.
Maybe this is something that is common to Europeans.
Hmm.
Don't know. Either way. Okay, we should probably be finishing up soon. We've lost half of the people that were here already. And we've been at this for about an hour.
Mhm.
So let's go through.
Let's complete 100. Let's complete 100.
Okay. Sore feeling in the nose. Okay, we all know what a sore nose is. 90, sore pain in both nostrils, especially on taking hold of them. You're going to grab your nostrils and they feel even more sore. Okay. Ulcerated scab in the right nostril, almost painless, yellowish, and almost dry. Dark brownish red, slightly elevated spots on the nose, which are the seat of aching pains only when touched. So this person has elevated spots on the nose that are dark brownish red that have aching pain only when touched. Then there's swelling on and under the right nostril with redness. And then we have both cheeks, lips, and nose are much swollen in the morning. So this whole area, cheeks, lips, and nose. 95, swelling of one cheek with drawing. And remember, the drawing is a pulling feeling, and tearing is the tearing sound. Tearing, drawing, and tearing in the upper and lower jaw, and a sensation as if grumbling and hacking in the teeth, which feel longer. Oh, that's terrible. I'm not exactly sure how I'd say what grumbling, a sensation of grumbling would be, but if grumbling is a word, and grumbling's like, so it feels kind of like that kind of thing's going on. And then hacking in the teeth, which feel long. So, you you run across the rubric, the teeth feel too long, that would be here. There's a sensation of like hacking, like a chopping and a movement in the teeth at the same time. Okay, tearing pressure in the right lower jaw, especially in its ascending ramus, which goes off by pressing on it. So it's better by pressing on it. On the outer border of the lower jaw, intermittent obtuse shooting. Okay, so there's intermittent, happens from time to time. Obtuse shooting is shooting, like shooting, like pow, pow, pow. So it's that kind of sensation, and it's in the jaw from time to time, occasionally. On the right side of the chin, a tearing pain. And on the red of the underlip, a burning vesicle. So somewhere here, there's a burning vesicle. And then symptom number 100, dull aching pain per se, and when swallowing in the gland beneath the angle of the lower jaw, as in a swelling of the cervical glands. So there's aching when swallowing in the glands down in the gland here, and a swelling in the cervical glands behind. Okay. All right, guys. You completed this wondrous task of learning Materia Medica Pura with us. Kol hakavod. Congratulations to you. Was it fun? This is the root of all Materia Medica. Original source material. The actual proving data. Was it fun, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, thank you for attending. We will complete the rest of symptom in next week.
And the week after. These are the remedies that go on and on and on for our enjoyment.
And we will have on Thursday, organon 14. Aphorism 14 and 15. So see you on Thursday. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us. And remember, this will be uploaded onto the YouTube channel in case you
Thank you,
want to
sir. Thank you,
share.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Are these people in our WhatsApp group? The student, if they want, you can add or ask Tikwa or me.
Okay,
If they
sir.
want to learn organon or any homeopathic cases or discussion in a homeopathy explain group.
Okay, we have only now two group. One is the video group and second one the organon 6 edition. Apart from either, there is another group.
Yeah,
Yeah, we learn the
homeopathy
chronic
explain.
diseases there. Every day, I post a page of the day. And we go
I'm not there.
page
I'm
by
also
page.
I'm also not there in that one group.
And we're on like page 104 of the chronic diseases for its second rotation. That's
Okay.
terrible. Poor you. We'll have to fix
Tikwa,
that.
you can add her in chronic disease and homeopathy explain group.
That's the same group. So yeah. And that's also where we talk about random things.
If the students also want, they can message or they can communicate through Dr. Sandhya.
Okay, sir.
Okay, guys?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming. And I hope that you had some fun doing this.
Now you can stop recording.
Oh, thank you for permission. Thank you for joining us, everybody.